Pranam Partho. Welcome to the new podcast on shlokas of Ashtavakra. So Partho, I think last time we had done till the 12th and the 13th
the
shloka.
13th shloka.
Yeah, so meditate on the Atman as immovable intelligence and non-dual.
Yes.
Having given...
And we are slowly getting to the heart of the issue.
Yes. And we had covered I am the reflected self, the individual soul, without the internal and external self-modifications and the illusion.
Yes.
So we had discussed till here.
So, we can continue from there. Then Ashtavakra goes on to tell Janak that you have long been caught in the noose of body consciousness. That's an interesting phrase he uses, the noose of body consciousness. Body consciousness, Dehabhiman in Sanskrit. Dehabhiman Pashe noose. So you have been caught in the noose of body consciousness for a long time. Dehabhiman Pashe Chiram Baddho Asi Putrak. My son, you have been baddha. You've been caught in the noose of Dehabhiman, of body consciousness. So that brings to mind the picture of hanging. You're hanged unto death kind of a thing because you're the noose is a very interesting image. So hanging unto death by the noose of body consciousness. Interesting. Dehabhiman chiram baddho asi putrak. And then he gives the way out. He also gives the how to get out of it. So again, very simple. Bodho aham. Bodh is consciousness, pure consciousness or intelligence. Bodh is intelligence, consciousness, both. Also realized awareness. All this is bodh. So in Sanskrit, one single word can mean so many things. So bodho aham, know yourself to be bodh. Aham bodh. So bodho aham, jnana khanda gain, tannikritya sukhi bhava. Jnana khanda sword. So jnana khanda gain, with the sword of knowledge that you are consciousness, you are intelligence. Here, intelligence is not mental intelligence. This is pure intelligence of the self.
Awareness.
So, Atma Bodh, this is self-awareness.
Yes.
So, Bodh here is the pure intelligence of the Atma. Or knowledge of the Atma, awareness of the Atma. All that together we can understand as Bodh. So, Bodho Aham. So, Bodho Aham is I am that Bodh, and by that knowledge that I am Bodh, Bodho Aham, Khandagain Tannikritya. Tannikritya is to destroy, to cut it off, to sever that noose of Dehabhiman, of body consciousness, sever it with the sword of the knowledge that you are the pure intelligence of the Atma, and thus be happy. Sukhi bhava. Having said that, he then again recalls to Janak's mind. He brings back to the mind, to the memory of Janak, that you are unattached, nissango. And nissang is without any attachment, without attached to something. Nissanga. So nissango, nishkriya ovasi. You are not the actor. Nishkriya is one normally translates as inactive, nishkriya, inaction, but it's not really inaction in the sense that you cannot act. It's a deeper thing. Nishkriya means having realized that you're not the actor.
You're not
having
the doer,
gone
you're
beyond
not
the illusion of personal doership. Therefore, you as the self do not act, do not move.
Actionless.
Yes, which doesn't mean that you don't do anything.
Yes.
So actionless it's in a profound sense, in a spiritual sense. So when he says nishkriya, that's what he means. So nissango, nishkriyo asi tvam. Remember that you are nissango, you're unattached, you're nishkriya.
You're not the doer.
You're without action, you're beyond action. That's the phrase I would
Beyond
use.
action.
You are beyond action, nishkriya. Swaprakasho, you are self-illumined, you're self-effulgent, self-radiant. Swaprakasho niranjanaha, without any flaw, without defect, without blemish. Niranjanaha, no stain on you. No imperfection, niranjana, no imperfection. So remember that you are unattached, nissanga. You are nishkriya, beyond action. You are self-radiant, self-effulgent, swaprakasho, niranjana, without any blemish whatsoever. And then he delivers what I call the master statement, which at one stroke, I think, dismantles so much of our yogas, Like it says, ayamev hite bandha. Perhaps the only bondage you have, ayamev hite bandha. The only bandha, the only bandhan that you have, the only bondage that you have, samadhim manuttishtasi, that you need to meditate. Samadhim is, samadhi, meditation. Samadhim manuttishtasi. So you're free. You're unattached. You're blemishless. You're stainless, flawless. You're free of all imperfection. You are self-effulgent. You are the awareness of the self. You are the pure intelligence of the self. You are all that. So what is your problem? Where is your bondage? That is your bondage, that you still need to meditate. And why is that a bondage? Because when will you need to meditate? When you are not convinced that you are that self. If you're convinced, if you know it in your heart of heart, if you know it in the marrow of your bones that you are that eternal self, why will you sit down and need to meditate? So your very need to meditate is finally your bondage. Because, again he goes on, Tva vyaptamidam vishvam. You are that which pervades this whole universe. Tvaya. By you. Tvaya in Sanskrit means by you. Vyaptamidam vishvam. This Vishwa. Vyapt is pervade. So, Tvaya vyaptamidam vishvam. By you, this entire universe is pervaded because you are the one consciousness that there is. This whole universe is pervaded by you. Tvayi protam yathartatah. So, and protam again is you self-diffused. You're everywhere. You're permeating, all permeating. Tvayi protam yathartatah. That this universe exists in you. You pervade this entire universe. Because you are the pure consciousness by your very nature. Shuddha Buddha Swarupa Stvam. Swarup is the very nature that you are. Swarup, your true nature. Shuddha Buddha. Shuddha Buddha. Shuddha is, pure. And Buddha is again from consciousness, awareness, intelligence, all that again together. So Shuddha Buddha Swarupa, you are that Shuddha Buddha. You are that pure consciousness by your very nature. Therefore, and he said this beautifully, Magama Shuddra Chittatam. Therefore, don't be small-minded. Don't believe yourself to be small and petty, because you are the universe itself. In you, the universe exists. You pervade this entire universe. Tvaya vyaptamidam vishvam. Tvayi protam yathartatah. In reality, in you this exists. This universe exists. So that would mean that you pervade this universe and this universe exists in you because you are that pure consciousness by your very nature. So why be petty? Why believe yourself to be small? And of course, if questions should we stop?
Yeah. I think let's discuss these if it's okay. So
he's taking him deeper and deeper into the truth of the Atma, the truth of the eternal self. And by saying this, he seems to be reminding Janak of what he has forgotten. And that's what the Vedanta tells us. The Vedanta, I think the beauty of the Vedanta is it doesn't tell us that the self is something to be acquired, or self-realization is not something to be acquired. It's what you are. You are the self. So what do you have to acquire? Yes, but you have forgotten it. Nope. And you just have to recall it to mind. You just have to remember what you are. And that is what Ashtavakra seems to be doing. He seems to be pounding Janak, as it were. Remember who you are. Remember who you are. Know what you are. Let go of these silly ideas that you are the body consciousness and you're the object of your senses, or you're the senses, or you're the mind and the senses. You're none of all that. You're not the mind and the senses. You're not the buddhi. And if you remember the other, the Nirvan Shatakam of Shankara, Mano Buddhi Ahankar Chitta Ninaham. I am not Chitta, consciousness. I'm not the Manas. I'm not the Buddhi. I'm not the Ahankar. I have no form. I'm formless. Nirakara Rupo. Shivoham, Shivoham. I'm that pure self. Same, exactly the same truth, this echoing the same truth across the whole landscape of Vedanta, one might say. You know, so very powerful.
Yeah,
if you listen.
Of course. Wonderful, Partho. Thanks for explaining. I have some thoughts I want to discuss. Firstly, I wonder, why do we associate ourselves, why do we get stuck in the noose of the body knowledge? How do we get stuck in that? Where does the life start? Is it because, so I was just thinking, one of the thought experiments you had shared, if I were not born in this society, I would not have any attachments that come from the society. Because today I'm stuck because they tell me, you are this, you have to be that, you have to be that. And these are the attachments that keep on adding. Whereas if I were born in a jungle, in nature, without any other humans around,
you won't have any of the social trappings.
So I'll not have
social trappings, social conditionings.
Yeah, lots of conditioning goes away.
Yeah, when I say social, it means your family goes away, right. Your education goes away, your schooling goes away, your culture goes away.
Yeah.
This culture is part of your society you're born in and you live in. But yeah, culture can be separate. So cultural conditioning, social conditionings, psychological conditionings, because
education,
who you grow up with, and all that is gone. Yeah.
But would I still have the body?
Yeah, but you will still feel that you're the body.
Yes.
Deha Bhiman.
Yes. Because that's what you see. That's what you experience.
So, yes, the Deha Bhiman is almost like consciousness of being is fused with the consciousness of the body. But there's a reason for that. If we go very deep into Vedanta, that the body by itself as something solid, independent entity doesn't exist. And we have discussed this in many ways.
Yes.
It's jara, yes, inert jara. But again, we have discussed it from the physics perspective. If you go into the body, you're going into matter. The body is finally just cells and tissues, right? Actually cells. But then cells are molecules and atoms and you can keep going till you reach the quantum realm. So if you go deep enough into the body, into the matter of the body, I can't have the pun, the body will cease to matter. Because you would realize that matter is not really matter as we know it.
Yes.
Or as we have always known it. Matter is not solid. And of course, this is far beyond the range of our conscious experience. We can't consciously experience the quantum world, but at least we know it's there. And that's what makes this universe. And okay, quantum physics will give it to you through mathematics and through building models. But the rishis of old have actually seen this. When they talk to you about the nature of reality, they're talking about reality which is cosmic and then reality which is quantum. And they're talking about it simultaneously because they see it not as cosmic and quantum. They see it as one. So does actually physics. If you go deep enough into it, it's not the two ends of a spectrum, that this is cosmic and this is quantum. The quantum is cosmic. Cosmic is quantum. And the rishis actually see it in their subtle vision. They see the quantum world, the quantum universe. Or they see the universe as the quantum and as the cosmic simultaneously in their subtle vision. So if you were to have the rishis' vision right now, the rishis' subtle spiritual yogic vision, what would you see? What would you see? You wouldn't see a body, would you?
No, I'd see what it's comprised
I mean,
of.
of course, you would see the body. Yes, you
I'll
would.
be able to
But
see
then-
through what it's comprised of. Go down to the...
Yes, so you'll see the body, but you'll see it as a kind of a external shell.
Just like how they possibly portray in Matrix. You see a shell
Yes,
in which...
I remember.
You know,
Yes,
there's a visualization. There's a
It's
visualization.
a visualization, yes. You see all those green dots,
so
which
you
are
see moving...
zeros and ones.
Yes. So they made it binary, but yeah, it could be a
that's because they were
quantum
using
particle or wave or...
computer technology. Yeah. So, so you would probably see this body not as a solid thing sitting here, but you would see it
aggregate
very
of the...
differently. Yes.
Yes.
And you would also know that everything is consciousness, and what is this matter, or what we experience as matter? We experience matter in our consciousness. We know that, don't we?
Correct.
So we are experiencing a matter in consciousness. So there is no real difference between matter and consciousness. What I am experiencing in my consciousness is a formation of my consciousness, and I'm conscious of this object. So there is this object and there's consciousness. But is there really a difference between the object and the consciousness? Because the object is happening in the consciousness. It's a wave of the consciousness.
The whole universe is an appearance in consciousness. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a second thing.
Like a wave of the consciousness. So what we call body consciousness, Dehabhiman. So this body awareness, body consciousness, the sense that I am the body, is actually happening in consciousness. And the consciousness of the body is the same as consciousness. Consciousness of the body is consciousness. And the body is a formation of that consciousness, and the body itself is not material. So where do you draw the line? Where do you say that your consciousness ends here and your body begins here? It doesn't. It's a quantum zone where the two interface, where consciousness becomes body, or body resolves back into consciousness.
Yes.
There's no real difference. So if that is so, then what we call body awareness or body consciousness is very natural. It's the consciousness that you are functioning through what you call a body, or what you experience in a certain order of reality as body. right? So when you go that deep into the workings of consciousness in you, then body consciousness resolves into pure consciousness. So it's not a problem at all. It's not that where did it come from? It's this is reality. This is the very nature of reality. But we don't see it that way. It's our it's some the Vedanti said there's a superimposition on the reality. In this mind body consciousness is one single thing, but something is superimposed on this, some veil of ignorance.
Yeah. Is it also, I see that, I agree with all that. Just one question. Because human mind and brain is not so evolved yet. It is evolved arguably for billions of years, but not so evolved that in the human order of experience of this reality, this order, we have, the veil comes from the space-time. Because the moment you go into cosmic or quantum, those disappear, and we cannot intuitively, at least, or experientially see it unless we really go the yogic way or some other way. In our day-to-day experience, we are stuck of sorts in this space-time experience, and that's where the veiling comes from. That's where, because we are not privy to, in our ordinary normal experience, to access anything beyond, or and
Good way of putting it. Interesting, yes. You're not privy to it because
because the mind is hardwired to stick to the space-time experience.
yes, probably we
And
don't
that's where
have
the whole Maya is.
faculties yet to, because at the end of the day, this what we call the mind-body complex, the brain, the nervous system, the sense organs, is quite primitive.
Yeah.
We may have evolved a bit in consciousness, but the body is still very primitive.
Correct.
It's still subject to hunger and thirst and more basic needs. It's still vulnerable to the elements. It's still subject to illness. It's constantly decaying, and one day it will die. It's very primitive. So Sri Aurobindo used to say that as consciousness evolves, sooner or later, it will become impossible for this primitive mechanism to hold that consciousness. Yes. That consciousness will be so subtle and so dense in itself. Density, don't think of density as solid matter.
Yeah.
The very nature of matter will change as this body evolves. So this body will evolve with consciousness. Sooner or later, consciousness will pull up the physical substance, the nervous substance of the body, and will make it more worthy of itself. Isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
even our present human consciousness and intelligence, if you were to think of it in a primitive savage body, would be difficult.
Yeah.
Certain refinements have to happen after the brain has developed in a certain way, cerebral increase of cerebral complexity, and which leads to more differentiation and organization, and that's evolution. So,
I mean, imagine the shift from monkey body to a human body,
which we had to do.
Yes.
If we were still caught up in that kind of a body, or imagine this kind of an intelligence in a dinosaur body, just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So why are we mentally putting a stop to evolution of the form? If consciousness is evolving, and I don't think there's an if there, consciousness is, you just have to look into yourself, and you know that for sure, that consciousness is evolving. And if consciousness is evolving, so must the form. So we will come to that point in our evolution sooner or later. We will evolve enough to be able to see things as they are in reality. And probably then all this will become redundant, irrelevant. I mean, not relevant to a evolved species. Sure. Because you will be born with that knowledge that you're the self. So why would you need any Gita at all after that? So, but then again, these are stages in our evolution.
Yeah. And then, if I may move to one more master statement that you mentioned, that this alone is your bondage, that you need to
Yes.
meditate.
That you need to meditate or you do meditate.
Here you meditate, right?
That's a wonderful statement. That's a very powerful statement.
So if anybody gets this, the majority of the spiritual world, as we know in our society today, falls apart because they are all built around meditation. That you have to meditate, you have to meditate. You know, that's a first step or a very
A progressive humanity.
yes, yes, and that meditation is still to somewhere to help one experience beyond the usual body-mind experience of the world, which is
But we shouldn't be in a hurry to dismiss meditation.
Yes,
Because
yes.
this is Ashtavakra Gita,
Yes,
remember. This is
yes.
very radical Vedanta.
correct, correct,
And this is not everyone's cup of tea.
super advanced, and
If
yeah,
you know, before you're ripe enough for the true Vedanta, you say that, okay, I stop meditating.
sure,
Well, nothing happens after that. I mean,
yes,
everything just goes to your head and you keep repeating ad infinitum that you're Brahma and you're the self and all that, but really nothing's happening. It's all something that goes on and on in your mind. So let's not be in a hurry to dismiss all this. Meditation and the scriptures and all that is necessary
yeah,
somewhere.
jog, walk, run,
Someone.
step by step.
Okay, jog, walk, run, yeah, and then fly perhaps.
Yeah,
Jog, walk, run, fly.
yeah. So when you fly, then you don't need to jog anymore. or
Then you don't need the
crawl.
ground
You
anymore.
don't need to crawl. Yeah,
That's a good analogy, yes. So, but yes, if you come to that kind of radical Vedanta, then of course, why would you meditate? The very fact that you need to meditate means that you still believe in duality. The duality of the meditator and the meditation, the object of meditation,
yes.
wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, and one last thing I want to discuss is or elaborate upon, have you help elaborate upon, is that the universe is within you. This universe is happening in your consciousness. Most of us look at ourselves very individually. So I'm here, you are there.
Exactly as Ashtavakra says, don't be petty-minded, don't be small-minded.
Yes, yes. So, for a layman, how is the universe happening to me, or how is the universe appearing to me?
That's a very important question, Kunal. So first we have to understand that the universe is not happening in my consciousness. It is happening in consciousness.
Yes,
And what you're calling my is also happening in the consciousness.
correct.
So the world and the self are both happening in the consciousness. Right. So that's what it means. The fundamental premise of Vedanta, the axiom of Vedanta, is that there is only consciousness.
Yes.
And everything else that we experience, that we are aware of, is a modification, a formation, or a projection of consciousness. So the ground reality is consciousness, what we would call the substrate of all existence is consciousness. There is nothing else but consciousness. This consciousness is called Brahma in the Vedanta. This is an infinite consciousness. And consciousness is inseparable from existence. Consciousness, existence, Sat, Chit. So, there is only one Sat. Ekam Sat is the primary, the pivotal statement of Vedanta, of radical Vedanta, that there is only one reality, only one existence, and that is the one consciousness. So, Ekam Sat, Ekam Chit. So, Sat Chit. That's all there is. So what is this world then? This world is a formation, a projection in this consciousness. As we have often discussed, this like a wave in the sea. The sea is all you have. But then there are multiple waves arising on the sea, moment to moment, and then falling back into the sea. But the sea is all you have. Consciousness all you have. And it's nothing that this is a statement that in a way is axiomatic. You don't need to prove this thing. You cannot prove this thing. It's a self-explanatory, self-valid,
Experienceable.
self-revealed. Yeah, because you are that consciousness. If you weren't, you wouldn't be conscious right now. So you can say that I, Kunal, am conscious.
Yeah.
But what does that really mean? That there is a consciousness of being Kunal, which is a projection of consciousness itself. It's inseparable. The moment you say, I am Kunal and I'm conscious of being Kunal, you're actually saying I'm consciousness.
Correct. And just thinking simpler analogies, the easiest way for me to experience this universe experience, this world experience, or not, is just to shut my eyes and shut my mind. None of this exists. The moment
None of the sense universe. The moment you shut off your senses, the sense universe is gone.
Right, so there's no Partho, there's no room, there's no camera.
Partho body.
Partho body, and yes.
Partho would still be a
memory
memory in your mind. So the mental conscious is still there. Now, if you switch off the mind,
yes,
as the yogis do,
yes,
then the universe, as you know, it
doesn't exist. So this is a good way of imagining and thinking and understanding how this universe is, how is it's appearing in your consciousness.
Yes.
Because if you switch it off, your sensory organs and your mind, none of this is there.
This universe for you is gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Right?
The question remains that would it still be there for me? Which takes us still deeper into the whole mystery. That is there a difference between you and me?
Yes.
Finally, it's consciousness itself.
Yes.
That's functioning through numberless forms.
Infinite. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, multiple forms, multiple bodies. So one switches off, the universe is gone for that, but it remains here. But what happens if everything switches off? If matter itself switches off, matter mind switches, then what happens?
All the waves are gone.
Yeah.
Then does this seal still remain?
And so the way to experience this, because many people raise it as an objection that, okay, the universe is gone for you, but it's still there for me.
Yeah.
So there's still a you and me. The thing is that the you and me is a differentiation only in your waking mind, in your surface consciousness, where you're aware of yourself as a wave and others as waves.
Oh.
So if you were to completely still all the waves of the mind, as Rishi Patanjali tells us to do, chitta vritti nirodha. So if all chitta vrittis are gone, all mental movements are gone, then what you know yourself as a person, a personality, falls apart. The boundaries dissolve, and you actually realize yourself not as Kunal anymore, but you realize yourself as the consciousness that is. And then there is no Kunal or Partho. Everything is one consciousness. And that's when you realize it. Yeah. So a lot of these things, Kunal, that we discuss and we question and we discuss are questions that are happening at one level in one order of reality, and the answers to these questions exist at a higher order of reality. So many of our questions cannot be answered at this level. We have to
progress,
go there.
Yeah, and the best way to possibly visualize this is, again, if you are with one of the waves in the sea, you are a fish in the sea. You can't see the sea as sea.
Yeah.
For you, it's just bunch of water around you in which you are surviving, right? But you have to go up and see it from a different perspective, from a different experience, that it is actually the sea coming and going, the waves and the identifications and
So, as long that's a good point. As long as you're a fish in the sea, it's very difficult for you to make out
what is the sea. Yes.
But if you're a bird in the air,
Yes. Yes.
then you can see the sea. Then you can see the waves in the sea as not two different things. It's the waves off of the sea. Analogy.
Yeah. Yeah. So as long as it's hard for a conscious being to understand the consciousness as long as you are in it and experiencing it.
Yeah.
It's just like being a fish in the sea,
Yes.
frankly.
Yes.
That's the best analogy I can
And
possibly come up with.
one of the reasons that everyone says is because we're so completely identified with mind and body. And the question is, how does one get out of it? But then the mind-body consciousness is the portal through which you must pass to go beyond it. Because this body itself is consciousness, mind itself is consciousness. That is what we have to realize. That's the crux of the whole matter.
This reminds me of the one of the discussions we had in a podcast on the evolution from Sri Aurobindo's standpoint, where he talked about and explained how the monkeys evolved from being monkeys to assimilating knowledge and evolving as humans eventually. There was a line of, and same way some humans will have to go beyond the mind-body identification and realize it. Like there have been many realized beings that we've heard of, aware of. But
every yogi does that.
every yogi does that. So we'll need a lot more people to go through the portal, evolve, or go beyond all this, where this discussion and knowledge comes handy.
But then people don't have time for all this, and people are so caught up with the externalities, which anyway won't take them too far. I mean, how long will you go on with those things? So the sad thing is that we don't have the time to do the one thing that must be done. By the time some of us, not all, realize it, but some of us, a handful, realize it. And out of that, a minuscule actually works on it. The rest, maybe sometime you realize, oh, you know what, I should have actually given more time to that. But then it's too late, perhaps.
I wonder that even beyond time, besides time, the sadder part I feel is that we're not even questioning or curious about this at all. We are not even wondering, why am I here? Who am I? What's going on?
Yes.
That's a bigger thing. We are so stuck with and identified with the rat race of the world.
Kunal, that's because our interest is not. If my interest is in the outside world, why should I even think about this? The thought won't come to me.
That's what I'm saying is a problem, that
it's not a problem, really.
In a sense that, not a problem, of course, life goes on.
No, it's like this. For someone who doesn't know this at all, whose
doesn't matter,
interest is the outside world and is caught up with the external world,
he's a fish swimming.
It doesn't matter. And for him or her, it's not a problem at all. But for someone who has understood this and has realized that there is much, much more than the external world, for that person also it's not a problem, because he or she has seen something beyond. So he or she is already engaged in that. So I don't see it as a problem anywhere. I mean, it's okay. I mean,
it's part of the design probably, and part of the delight, the play, the leela.
This is what the world is all about.
Sure. I think I guess what I'm trying to say is that just like Ashtavakra says, don't be petty-minded.
Yes.
Don't be stuck with small body consciousness,
small thinking
of
that I'm just this body.
I'm just this
what
body.
This body is.
Yes. So just that part, don't be petty-minded is, I guess, the point I'm trying to probably say. But of course, it's part of the design works for. There's a grand design surely that we don't see beyond the bird, beyond the universe, beyond the cosmos, and but I guess that just the ability for a normal human today to think, to question, to be curious, to wonder, is what I find is very petty-minded, that they don't even get to that. Now, they may not get the answers, they may not be interested in that after a point, but just not even knowing what you don't know is a bigger problem. If they know what they don't know and they're not interested, is okay, I guess.
But why should that concern you?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, we're just discussing in general the evolution and the...
No, but this is important because many people are concerned about it.
Yes.
I know many people who have sort of glimpsed this, what should we call it, spiritual reality. Very concerned about why are others not
Yeah.
glimpsing it or coming.
Sure.
But how does it matter?
Yeah.
I mean, when it's brought to them or when it's time for them, the ripeness has come. You know, ripeness is all.
Yes.
So when the ripeness comes, they will come to it.
Yeah.
Our business is to go on with what we have, what has come to us. And there we cannot waver or idle away our time, because then we don't have that kind of time. There's so much to be experienced and realized in this realm, in this kind of life that we call spiritual.
Sure. Great discussion, Partho, as always.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, and we'll follow up with some more discussions on
I
this.
don't have time, so you can't thank me for something I don't have.
How do you say it doesn't matter, or there is no matter, and whatever?
That was a good one. Yeah, I mean, the only time I have is in the watch, and I don't know whether this time in the watch is just movement.
Yeah, who's watching the watch?
Who's watching?
Yeah. Great.
Well, good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thanks.